hope all of that makes some sort of sense now that we've probably spent hours and hours editing it. But the first job for today is to make a temporary mallet out of this natural log. So that's what we're going to get going on now. So essentially what we're going to do is cut this down to length, select how long I want the head of the mallet to be, probably about that long, about 6 inches or so, and then it will want a 6-8 inch handle on it. So what we're going to then do is take the bark off and then saw into this to leave a sort of internal diameter of the handle or circumference of the handle all the way around. So I'm going to saw through partially, and then I'm going to split off the majority of this material here to leave that thinner handle on the inside. The log then is about 18 to 18.5 inches because it's got a bit of a curvy worvy to it. So I think if we want a 6 inch head and then an 8 inch handle will take us to 14 inches. I'm going to make a cut there. Okay, we've cut it to length and I've put an initial cut in here. That's the 6 and that's the 8 inch. The other thing we're going to do is take all this bark off eventually. It's coming off in great big chunks as it is, but we do want it all off eventually because otherwise it'll just disintegrate off, so it'll save making a mess. Make it once. And then I will need to show you the axe. The axe in question is this. Traditionally, I'm not sure of its proper name. I call it a chopper because that's what it most looks like to me. But I believe this would have been used back in the day to remove the beading from windows by glaziers. Would run this along there and just tap in slightly and remove the beading. I believe that was its original use. I might be wrong, so do correct me in the comments. This was my granddad's, as far as I think that's as far back as it went with when it was original. Again, I got it from my grandma when she moved here, and the handle was in very poor shape. That was split along these lines here. It was all rusty and blunt, and the edge here had been bashed on too much over the years, so it was quite rolled over. I took it to Scouts and to my leader, who is very not dissimilar to me, very into making and restoring things. And one of the first things I did with him was restore this. We used wood glue and resin to put the handle back together and put it back on the knife, the blade. Once we had straightened out the tang, ground off all of the rust. It has rusted again, but I'm not too fussed about that. Gotten rid of those rolled over edges and put a new bevel on it. Also then sanded down the handle, give it a lick of varnish, and then sharpened the dickens out of it until it is now razor sharp. So much so I frequently have a pretty good attempt at taking my own fingers off with it. Anyway, this axe is in now much better condition than the axe up there on the wall. So I brought this along today to help me whip off this bark. You'll see there how sharp it is. All the bark's off then. I'm just starting to take off the material here. You can see how sawing into the log and leaving that sort of inner circumference, I can then split down to where I've sawn, and then that will leave me the thinner handle and the heavier head to the mallet. I finished taking off all the material here from the handle. You can see there how it's that much thinner now, and I've got all that weight left in the top end. It's very weighty and very solid, so that should be just perfect for making the new head for the new mallet. I am just going to run the rasp over it to smoothen things up a bit, but then that I think is ready to go. I think as well I'm just going to give it a little finish with some sandpaper. So like I said, that's that done. I'm going to pop it just up there on the hooks. We'll get back to that later on. This is probably going to have to be a multi-part video, but mostly because to make the head of the new mallet, I'm going to go and ask my next door neighbour if I can use his pillar drill to put an initial drill hole through the block here. He also possibly has a chop saw, which I'm going to borrow if he has, hopefully, to put a slight angle on the faces of the mallet head as well. And I also would like to, I need some large G clamps to hold a guide block on top of the head here while I am chiseling down to make the hole for the handle. So if he's got some G clamps, because I know I can't get hold of any, I'm going to ask to borrow those as well. So that'll probably be in the next episode, but the last thing we will do in this video today is I will show you how I sharpened my granddad's chisels. So like I said, these are my granddad's chisels. My dad gave them to me not too long ago to use for this project. Now they were blunt, so I have put on them a 30-degree bevel angle, whatever you want, a 30-degree angle to sharpen them, purely because my new chisels, I have looked at them and they have a 25-degree. Now I know there might be some there's a word.
Discrepancy?
Yeah, discrepancy or controversy over which is best for your chisels, 25 or 30 degrees. Personally, I think it's probably on what you're going to use it for. 30 degrees is obviously that much steeper, blunt more, slightly coarser, if that's the right word. It's going to not be as sharp and take off as much, but it's going to be probably more durable. You're going to have to sharpen it less often. So because my new chisels are 25, I thought for the old ones, I might as well put 30 on. And when I started to sharpen them, 30 matched up just right with how they were sharpened before. So my granddad, obviously, whether intentionally or not, he put a 30-degree angle on them as it was. So to sharpen those, I watched a YouTube video, someone I'm subscribed to, and stole their idea of how to make a sharpening jig. So the YouTuber who I watched made a jig like this. It's essentially a board with another board on top and a hole cut out of it, which holds a whetstone. Now I have a couple of these, they're just cheap ones, and that's going to slot in there nice and easy and hold the stone in place while I'm sharpening. Now these blocks on the side I've put on for chisels. On that side you might be able to read there, and planes on that side you might be able to read there. Now the reason I've put those on is because I've got a chisel and plane sharpening jig for Christmas. I appreciate this is turning into a bit of me showing off all the cool things I got for Christmas, but there you go. This is what I asked for Christmas, so I've got it. So I'm gonna show it to you because I wanted to use it on the channel. So this is a chisel and plane sharpening jig. Essentially, you clamp either the plane irons of a plane or a chisel into the top here, or a chisel into the bottom jaws here. And then this will do the 25 or 30-degree angle for you. So it saves you having to spend ages and ages getting really good at holding and sharpening your chisel manually. With this, I can clamp it in place and it will do the angle for me. So now how it does the angle is you vary how much the chisel or the plane iron sticks out past the edge of the guide here. Now it says on the side here in the casting, which hopefully you can see there, and then I'll have to just turn it around so I can read it. Well, hopefully you can see those, there's some letters there. Now those letters say chisel projection, 30 millimeters equals 30 degrees, and 40 millimeters equals 25 degrees. Then underneath it says plane iron projection, 38 millimeters 30 degrees, and 50 millimeters 25 degrees. So with that knowledge, then I could say, right, well, I'll just put my chisel in, I'll get my tape measure, and I'll measure out my however many millimeters it needs to stick out. But the idea that the YouTuber who I watched had was to put these blocks on the side of the board here. That way, when your chisel is in the jig, you put your chisel in, and if I want a 30 degree, hopefully you can see there on the block, 30 degrees. If I want 30 degrees, I'll put the edge of the chisel guide up to the jig there, and then push the chisel in, except it's too tight. There we go, to just touch that block. Now that then is going to give me a consistent projection out of the chisel guide. So when I tighten this up and sharpen, my 30-degree angle is going to be as consistent as I can possibly get it. So there's my 30, there's my 25, and then my 25 and my 30 for the chisels, plane irons, sorry. I'm just using the large flat blade screwdriver to get this nice and tight in the jig. I've set it to the right projection there for 30 degrees. Now I have spent off camera quite a long time sharpening these with the jig and the two jigs with the stone wet, obviously, which is what it needs to be. So I am happy enough that they're sharp enough to make the mallet, and I might give them another touch up, but I'm not going to show you now on video me sharpening, because essentially all I do is soak the stone in water and then do this over and over again for hours and hours until it's sharp. So that's the process that I've been using to sharpen the chisels, and I'm pleased to say it works very well. They're nice and sharp, and I think they're going to be sufficient to use with my makeshift mallet to make my new mallet head. So that will be in the next video. So until then, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.